The trending report about the Kalenjin nation dominating Plum State jobs, that of CEO and director in Kenya, can be understood as community profiling. But I want to dig deep and give you a different perspective to this story. Welcome to the Bold Analysis, and thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much for choosing the Bold podcast as your best informative political podcast in Kenya. Some time back, Rigathi used to organize trips in Mount Kenya, tour Mount Kenya, and walk escorted by his unemployed village friends and relatives, ordering ministers to employ them in the Ruto Rigathi company. They were promised jobs here and there, and that was to create some excitement in the crowd. But 8 months down the line, the story seems to have changed, and only William Ruto's friends are taking plum jobs in some strategic ministries that I want us to look at. And I want to show you what exactly this is all about. But before that, listen to the snippet of Rigathi promising Mount Kenya jobs and even saying that is man-marking the president to ensure that only those who support Kenya Kwanza get the jobs in their company first.
Si wale walipanda na wavune kwanza. Wakishavuna wavune ile tabaki kidogo, wale wakupanda waingie watafute huko nini ile itapatikana wachukue wakwende. Si iko namna hiyo? Na itakuwa namna hiyo. Ndio watu wakipiga kura waelewe hii kura ni kusema nini. Hii kura iko na maana. Mimi kazi yangu pale kwa Ikulu ni hiyo. Ni kupanga hiyo laini. Hapo ni kazi mimi napanga hapo. Mimi naangalia kwa laini, nikiona wewe ulipanda na kutoa wewe nyuma napeleka wewe mbele. Nikiona wewe hukupanda na kutoa na kurudisha nyuma, ufanye nini? Niendelee na hiyo kazi ama niwache? Mimi niseme nyinyi watu ya Kericho. Nilienda kwa Kasa FM nikaongelesha nyinyi. Mlinisikiza? Nikamwambia mjipange. Mpange laini ya UDA. Na bado maundu mangi maroka kiambiriria gwaciki muko igwa mahoro Jeri Wahito Kamau Yang'oi Mushiri Kwani mahaitia mariko tatigane muri igwa igitangatho kaigwa cia tangatho ritwa ria mbere Kamau ikahitukirwo ria keri ria gatatu Jeri ria kana ria gatano Yang'oi
That was Deputy President by then. And after announcing that shareholders will be given priority, we saw leaders crossing the floor in the hope of getting these plum jobs. And what were given the CS and some other positions. However, the curve has changed. You know, I want us to look at this. The Deputy Central Kenya Governor was appointed none other than Dr. Susan Jumtai Koech. Njoroge is retiring in June, and I've seen the list of PSC that has been released. There's no Kalenjin there, but of course we are going to have some zebra arrangement there. It's a Kalenjin and maybe someone there. Let's look at, and that is still the banking sector. Treasury CS is Nduguna Njung. We have a zebra ticket there where Dr. Chris Kipto is a principal secretary. In the same ministry, I have seen just yesterday, Mr. Lawrence Kibet appointed as Director General of Public Investments and Portfolio Management under the Treasury. If you look keenly, you will realize that President Ruto is trying to, is that he actually picked that money. One other ministry that is connected to that, one other parastatal that is connected to that is KPA, where William Ruto, Captain William Ruto, was picked to be the chairperson, the CEO, and the director. And by then, we need to put a disclaimer. I just looked at the profile of Dr. William Ruto, the Captain William Ruto that was in KPA. I think the man is qualified for the job. In terms of qualification, he's qualified for the job. As to whether there are more other qualified Kenyans is an argument that is floated. You must float with your peers. Now, in the energy sector is where there is a very interesting development. This list came out. Energy CS is Davis Churchill. Kenya Power CEO, which falls under this ministry, is Joseph Segor. Under the Kenya Power, it's also important that I tell you that one of the largest shareholders is William Ruto, and those shares are now being held under the name of the Kiharu Member of Parliament, Ndindi Nyoro. CEO Kengen, this is the energy sector. CEO Kengen is a gentleman known as Abraham Serem. Kenya Pipeline is the embattled Joe Sang. CEO EPRA, Daniel Kipto. If you check those two sectors, you realize that William Ruto has captured that. I may be wrong, but maybe in the power sharing deal, that ministry was under him. But this is what you need to remember. That William Ruto is a stalwart in terms of governance, because you cannot compare him with the deputy. The deputy is just coming to that table for the first time. President Ruto has never been to that table, so he knows where, which place is fat, where you can actually get the oil. Let it not be noted to you, there's a very interesting data here. Nearly 80% of ministries with other tribes, there is a Kalenjin planted either as a PS or a director of a department. So it's very difficult to miss one or two. Now, the appointment of Isaac Ruto in the Judicial Service Commission and Gideon Moi, given the geothermal deal, are just to smoothen the ground to avert such a rebellion from the ground. The regional politics is also at play. For example, Isaac Ruto is a Kipsigis. So, Kipsigis, I saw Kipsigis could have been left aside. And William Ruto realized that there is a crisis. The crisis he got himself in was that Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, who was in government for 10 years, was well entrenched and established in some very key specific sectors. And with this, it had the potential of actually shaking William Ruto's administration. That is a perennial threat to successive regimes. When you take over after the long, after such the 10-year reign, you will always find yourself in this situation where your predecessor shall have established very strong bonds in government in different sectors, and with you taking over and you fall out, they have the potential of creating havoc to that administration. The second threat was that the second crisis was that economy is dilapidated, and even paying salaries have become a problem. What this means is that development that can be felt on ground is not there. So Ruto would likely face a backlash from the Kalenjin nation, the same backlash that Uhuru at one point faced, if he would actually get to power and not make them feel like they have felt it, that they're feeling his presidency. A close-up of the latest appointments will show you that it's not about Kalenjins taking over positions. I'm one person that do not appreciate that because someone comes from that tribe, so he's been appointed and so he's going to benefit that tribe. Let's just grow out of that reasoning. Because true to the point is this, that Ruto picked his friends and associates. And these people that have been given these plum positions are benefiting themselves, their families, their friends, and their associates. It's normally such a curve. You know, Lieutenant Ogola was confirmed when I was at home. At home, we call him Jacobere. He comes from a place. So, my village anyway, and we are not bragging about it. So, I saw celebrations. Well, I immediately arrived home that weekend. There was some celebrations there. Those who were celebrating were actually those who are family members there. The fact that he's now the head of military does not benefit the whole village. It does not benefit the whole community. So that's it. It is not about, even if a Kikuyu is appointed, it's not about the community. It's that individual and his relationship with the leader. If it is about a community, then William Ruto can just go to anywhere in the middle of Pokot and pick very qualified men and women there and give them jobs. But proximity to power and past relationships and connections are at the center of these appointments. I want us to look at these appointments. And before I look at it, let me tell you, Rigathi Gachagua was fattened for slaughter. The moment he was told, and something was planted in his head then, that his work is to protect President Ruto, and protecting President Ruto is by abusing Uhuru and Raila alternatively, parallel. If today is Uhuru, tomorrow is Raila. So, Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto made him an enemy of both Uhuru and Raila. The moment he became an enemy of Uhuru and Raila, he created himself that enemy. He profiled himself in public as an enemy of those two. He lost it. He actually lost the bargaining power, because then he remains a leaning deputy president to William Ruto. That is the situation. It is that weakness that has been used to push him to the periphery. I don't know whether he would have the authority to come out and challenge William Ruto on some of these things. And if he does that, then Kenyans will just be laughing in dismay. Now, that is why someone shared this interesting video, 41-second video, that it's a Kikuyu song that they will wake up in the morning to vote for William Ruto, but they seems to have gotten a road deal.
Siwache tu mimi nijipange na nyumba yangu.
There is that which Ruto is trying to achieve by this appointment. I will not mince my words. I want to tell you straight in your eye that there is a reason why you see those sectors are, maybe his associates are being planted in those two important sectors. But then, this is number one here is that I think Ruto is trying to avert a rebellion, the same as that was staged against Uhuru Kenyatta by his own people. Let me tell you, those who funded William Ruto's presidential bid were actually some wealthy Kikuyus and who were allegedly devastated by Uhuru Kenyatta. And so they funded William Ruto to make sure that he wins and overcomes, or rather so that they can take over from Uhuru Kenyatta. And what Ruto has realized now is that, number one, from the budget, the crisis around, he cannot promise a track record. There is no track record. So I hear there was an international or a national hospital, like in the caliber of Kenyatta, that was supposed to be built somewhere in the supporting counties of Kericho, Bomet, I think, and Narok. There is no budget for that project. So that project is somewhere in the air. And because there is no that, has decided that some of these jobs, there is scale up the absorption of the community so that it can boost the patriotism moving forward. That is in the angle of employing the tribesmen. But narrowing down to the two sectors, this is where these two sectors are targeted. I think he's positioning these sectors, positioning himself for these sectors to attract the interest. He has done very well that money is in the banking, under the treasury, in the energy sector. This is where multi-billion deals reside. And these multi-billion deals can help, can easily be captured and be kept intact by not just tribesmen but associates. I can tell you, in these sectors, in these jobs, even if they're given, they're not just being given by the virtue of someone being a Kalenjin. There are many Kalenjins who don't even subscribe to William Ruto's ideals. And there are many who cannot just be given by the virtue of no. It has to be given by. I saw another photo emerging that they were somehow at the same school. I cannot confirm that, but it's a high likelihood of these are people that know themselves, even back in the trenches. These ministries, they're looking for maybe multi-billion deals here, and two, it is where you can also cut deals with Uhuru Kenyatta secretly without Rigathi. The reason why they have been planted there, if, for example, in the energy sector, for you to thrive, you cannot overthrow. You just need to join and get a share. In the banking sector, Uhuru is deeply entrenched. So what you need to do is you get people that can cut deals. So these deals, these sectors are targeted by his own people to make sure that probably can cut deals with Uhuru Kenyatta behind Rigathi. Because I can tell you Rigathi was already fattened by believing those two people, by believing that Uhuru is his enemy. I think it's also part of micromanaging match tenders into it. But this is it. This is also a strategy that can seal any loopholes of leakages that can be done intentionally to dent the image of the government, or rather even to dent his image. I can tell you, when you plant people, your trustees, spies, in some of these sectors and these offices, it also attracts a strategy that any attempt to leak something can easily be intercepted. I can tell you, there are quite a number of things happening. I said some time back that, remember this government-to-government deal of buying oil from Dubai? It's one of big deal going there. There are a lot of secrets shrouded in it that maybe we may never know. Look at the fertilizer subsidy, where money was paid to company X and company X to Y, and people are trying to trail that the way that money flew, the flow of that money. So these are things happening. Some of these things may not get to the public because of this strategy. Now, it is thriving because Rigathi has been pushed to the periphery, because his work is to worship Mheshimiwa Rais, and the other side abuse Uhuru and Raila. That's my take, guys. And on that crisis, let's meet in the next.